Sexual reproduction in plants. In this video, you will be looking more about pollination. You will come to know what is pollination, what are the pollinating agents, and what are the characteristics of flowers that are pollinated by different agents, and what are the contrivances that favor cross pollination. Now, what is pollination? Pollination refers to transfer of pollen grains from the stamen to the stigma of a flower. There are three types of pollination. Depending on the source of pollen, pollination can be of three types, namely autogamy, geitonogamy, and xenogamy. Now, autogamy is transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower. In autogamous flowers, pollen release and stigma receptivity should be simultaneous. Autogamy is seen in both cleistogamous flowers and casmogamous flowers. Cleistogamous flowers are closed flowers which never open, and hence autogamy or self-pollination is the only option. Casmogamous flowers are the ones that open up, and they can undergo both the self-pollination as well as cross-pollination. Geitonogamy, transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of another flower of the same plant. Though it is functionally a cross-pollination involving a pollinating agent, genetically it is similar to autogamy since pollen grains come from the same plant. Parent. Xenogamy, transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of another flower of a different plant. This brings different kinds of pollen grains to the stigma. Now, what are the advantages of self and cross pollination? So, cross advantages would be of self pollination. It's a sure and economical method of pollination. Self pollination is employed as a fail-safe device. It produces homozygous progeny. It is used to maintain the pure lines, and it maintains superiority of the race indefinitely. And plants need not produce pollen grains in large number, and flowers do not produce attractants for attracting the external agents. But and disadvantages would be there is no introduction of new variety. Over a period of time, it decreases the variability and adaptability to changes in the environment. Disease resistance will decrease with the time, and recessive traits will appear regularly as self-pollination introduces homozygosity. Now, let us look at the cross-pollination advantages. So, it overcomes self-sterility and prepotency found in many economically important plants. The yields always remain above an average minimum. In cross-pollination, defective traits get eliminated. The harmful recessive traits remain unexpressed due to heterozygosity, and it introduces variation due to genetic recombination, and it may produce better offsprings due to hybrid vigor. It increases the resistance to diseases and enhances adaptability of the offspring to changes in the environment. Disadvantages would be it's a highly wasteful process because a large number of contrivances are required to ensure the process. Cross pollination is always a chance factor. It's not an economical phenomenon for plants, and good characters of a race can be diluted due to crossing, and undesirable characters can also enter the progeny. Let us look at the agents of pollination. So if it's a cross pollination, it has to have a lot of agents like wind, water, birds, insects, and so forth. Now let us look at anemophily, that is wind pollination. Wind is the pollinating agent, and what are the characters? So flowers are small and inconspicuous. Often they are packed in inflorescence. Their non-essential floral parts are absent or reduced. That is, if you look at the non-essential oils would be calyx and corolla, they might be absent or totally reduced. Flowers are usually colorless, nectarless, and odorless. They hang in spikes or catkin inflorescence. Male flowers are more abundant in unisexual flowers. In bisexual flowers, stamens are more abundant. In anthers are exerted and versatile. Pollen grains are small, smooth, non-sticky, and light. Pollen grains would be dry and unwettable. Stigmas are exerted, feathery, or branched to capture the pollen grains. Pistils commonly have single ovules. It is commonly seen in grasses, amaranthus, cannabis, coconut, date, etc. Hydrophily. So hydrophily has water as the pollinating agent. Flowers are small, inconspicuous and light. Perianth, that is, you can if calyx and corolla are not distinguishable, we call such structures as perianth. And perianth is unwettable. Flowers are without nectar and odor. Pollen grains are light and unwettable. They are surrounded by mucilaginous covering. Stigma is long, sticky, and unwettable. Examples are Lemna vallisneria, Ceratophyllum, and Zostera, all the aquatic plants. Entomophily. So it is the insects like moths, wasps, butterflies, beetles, wasps, ants, etc. are the pollinating agent. The flowers would be colorful to attract the insects. Both sepals and petals would be well developed. Flowers produce odor. Special markings are present on the petals to guide the insects to nectar, called the nectar guides or the honey guides. Pollen grains are covered by a yellow sticky substance and it is called as the pollen kit. Normally, stamens are inserted except they take part except when they take part in insect attraction. Stigma is sticky and inserted. Flowers and their petals are strong enough to bear the weight of the insects, and this is commonly seen in magnolia, that is champaka, rose, clematis, papaver, etc. So, pollinating agents are birds and it is known as ornithophyly. Flowers are large sized, brightly colored with yellowish, orange, reddish or bluish color. Odor is generally absent. Corolla is funnel shaped. Floral parts are strong and leathery. Flowers secrete a lot of nectar that is watery and sugary. And this is commonly seen in Bignonia, Techomaria, Butea monosperma, that is a flame of the forest, Erythrina indica. Xerophily, that is pollinating agents, are the bats. Here the flowers are stout and large sized, dull colored with strong fruity odor. Flowers secrete abundant dilute nectar. Stamens are numerous and pollen grains are also numerous. And example, you can see this in Adansonia. Now let us look at the contrivances for cross-pollination. Contrivances means the device or the condition that helps helps in a particular process. And these are some of the various ways that help only cross-pollination, like unisexuality, dichogamy, self-sterility, prepotency, heterostyly, and hercogamy. Now let us have a brief understanding about these. Unisexuality. Flowers are unisexual. Plants may show moniaceae with both male and female flowers occurring in a single individual. Example, maize and castor, or dioecious with male and female flowers on different plants. Example, mulberry, papaya, date palm. Dichogamy. Androecium and gynoecium will mature at different times. When the anthers mature earlier than the stigma, it is called as protandry. When stigma matures earlier than the anther, it is called protogyny. Now, examples for protandry would be Clerodendron, Salvia, and sunflower. And protogyny is commonly seen in Gloriosa, Magnolia, and Mirabilis. Self-sterility. Pollen grains of one flower are incapable of growing over the stigma of the same flower due to the presence of similar sterile genes. And this is seen in cruciferous, potato, tobacco, graminae. Prepotency is pollen grains of one flower grows more rapidly over the stigma of another flower, as seen in apple and guava. Flowers have different types and heights of styles and stamens, and this condition is referred to as heterostyly, and this is seen in jasmine, primula, oxalis. Hercogamy are the mechanical devices that prevent self-pollination and favor cross-pollination. So here it will be due to occurrence of extros anthers, different positions of stigmas and anthers. Anthers are exposed while stigmas occur in a flap. Stigmas are exposed but anthers can occur in corolla parts. Liver mechanisms as seen in salvia is an example, or it could be presence of pollinia which favors only cross pollination.